Not once, but twice, we are bringing you an Unreasonable Odds podcast because March Madness is tipping off this week and one is just not enough. So I'm back with you, Julian Edlow, the host of the Unreasonable Odds podcast. We have another special guest who is one of my go-to people when it comes to college hoops. There aren't all that many people that I trust. This man is one of them. Nick Greely. You can find him at Turnstone Capper on Twitter. The tournament is upon us, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Julian. Just happy to be on the show today with you.
Beautiful. We have plenty to talk about, so we can just rip right into it. I figure, people will be listening to this on Thursday night, hopefully getting ready for the tournament, but we might as well start with some first four games and just go through them quick. Lines are actually moving a lot on these. The first one, the early game, Mount St. Mary's upset Bryant in that conference championship game. They're playing Texas Southern. They've moved all the way to a 1.5 point favorite here. I kind of leaned to, in my article, I wrote up Mount St. Mary's in a pick'em. I like the way that they play. The defense is relatively even. Texas Southern has the sixth worst 3-point shooting percentage in the nation. Mount St. Mary's right around even. I think that could be a difference maker here. I don't think I'm going to bet on this game. Anything you got here?
A hard game to really find an edge on. I agree with you. I do lean Mount St. Mary's there, but Texas Southern's electric. They can't really shoot threes, though. So I think Mount St. Mary's can kind of just guard the paint, affect them at the rim with their size. And that's why I was going to lean them, but ultimately a pass for me.
Yeah. So let's just go to the other 16 first. I have zero take on Norfolk State and Appalachian State. I guess in a game like this, like these teams should be relatively close. If there's a 3.5 point dog, that seems kind of weird. Maybe just take the points. But I really have nothing strong here at all.
So I actually have a play out on App State.
Okay, the other way. See, you're tricking people like me.
I like App State. I like the momentum they had. I watched almost every conference tournament game they have. Their guard, Justin Force, very good player. I just think they're ultimately the better team here. I don't think there's a lot of margin here. It probably will be like a 5 to 6 point win, but I do think that they get the cover down the stretch.
All right, there we go. A play on the 16 seed play-in game that I did not see coming. Okay, Drake and Wichita State. This one has moved 4.5 points, I believe. Drake opening as a 2-point dog. Wichita kind of limping in 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. Did not look good in that conference tournament, just getting by South Florida as an 11-point favorite. Then they lose to Cincinnati as a 4-point favorite. They don't seem to have it right now. I didn't know which way I was going to go on this game initially. And then we hear that Drake's getting one of their best seniors back in this game, about 15 points, 6 boards a game, shoots almost 60% from the field. I locked Drake at, I believe it was just at around a pick'em. I don't love laying the 2.5 points on a team that opened up a 2-point dog, but I do think Drake gets this one by 3, 4, 5 points.
No, and I agree right there with you. And Hemphill coming back for Drake he's a big factor for them. I hated Wichita as a favorite to even open up this game, so I do kind of like where the line is now, and I agree with you completely. I think this is a play on Drake for a pass.
They were 19-1 with him in the lineup, Drake, and 6-3 without him. So, and I think it was 17-3 against the spread. Obviously, they went on a ridiculous start to the season ATS, but 17-3 with Hemphill in the lineup, tough to look past that. And then the big one at night. Most people think of these teams playing in a national championship Final Four type of game. UCLA and Michigan State. It's at least a fun one just from a narrative perspective to get a game like this on Thursday when we don't have anything else like it. This one was around a pick, and Michigan State, I wrote them up in my article yesterday at 2. Hopefully you got a better number, but now it's 2.5. For me, UCLA can easily win this game. It depends totally on what Michigan State team we get. They've hit rock bottom plenty of times this year, but I'm just going to bet on the talent to be there and Izzo to coach it up in a game when it matters. Michigan State beat Michigan. Michigan State beat Illinois. You're not going to find a team with that type of ceiling playing in one of these games. So I'm just going to close my eyes, invest in that type of ceiling, and take Michigan State. It sounds like you're going to be on the same page here.
Right, you hit the ceiling right there. Their ceiling is so high, in my opinion. Like they beat a lot of good teams. It's March. The narrative always is it shows up in March. They got in. I think this is a very favorable team in UCLA. I don't really like them. I think that they're kind of at their floor. They don't have much of a ceiling. So yeah, I totally agree with you right there. I think it's a Sparty party tonight. I think Michigan State can win with margin here, honestly.
It's one of those spots where, like, a lot of these games, and you're somebody that's great at this, we're going to get into analytics, we're going to get into numbers. Like, I'm not even doing that with this game. I'm just like, if you watch Michigan State play and you see that they can beat Illinois, you see that they can beat Michigan, UCLA can't do that. They're not capable of doing that. And that's all that goes into this one. And it's going to be a public side, and we're just going to roll with it. Last time I checked, exactly. I think 89% of the bets and money on DraftKings Sportsbook was on Michigan State. Yep. So we're all rooting for it. We're not trying to be contrarian or anything, and we will see what happens tonight. All right. So moving on to Friday's board. On Monday, we just kind of went through the bracket in order from top left going down. Now that we kind of have a schedule out, we're going to go through the games in order of them tipping off, and then come back and kind of touch on the matchups that we don't know yet because of the play-in games. So first thing to tip on Friday is a 7-10 game between Florida and Virginia Tech. I like Virginia Tech here. I have Virginia Tech in my bracket. I don't know if I'm going to bet them, but I kind of like them. This has been floating around between Virginia Tech getting a point and a pick 'em. I don't love Florida. It just hasn't been their season, but they kind of sneak up with these big wins at times. They are a high ceiling team. It was a down year in the ACC. So I like Virginia Tech, but I'm not all that confident in it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. I think this is one of the trickiest matchups on the whole slate. I got Virginia Tech in my bracket, like you also said, but play-wise, I don't really see much of an edge there. I think just kind of flip a coin, and it should be a great game. So
just real quick, let's say Ohio State gets through. What kind of chance do you give the winner of this game in a game like that?
Well, first, if I hit on that, I do believe you can make a case if there's going to be a crazy upset this year, 15-2.
I've heard this.
I do believe Oral Roberts is that 15 seed. Their point guard, Admis, averaged 24 a game. They've played 5 high major teams earlier this year, like Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Missouri, teams like that, and they've competed in almost every single one. So I think they're prepared for this game. Ohio State played – you saw it last week when they left off Illinois. They played two overtime games and then a hard game in the middle. So I know they've had a week off, but I don't know how 100% their legs are going to be.
Kyle Young too, like we don't know what's going on with Young, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if Young is playing because of the concussion and everything. So watch out for that. That could be a very surprising and fun, interesting matchup there. If Ohio State does get through, though, I definitely would lean them against Virginia Tech or Florida, whoever they play. I think they match up great. I just think get over the first game, get over the hurdle, and then just kind of run with it after that.
So there's not much else to say about that one. That one's at 3 p.m. on Friday. So let's just finish up that game really quick. If you feel that way, and I've heard from a couple other people, I heard from even Joe Lunardi on a radio show in Philly. He likes Oral Roberts outright in this game. He thinks this is going to be the one. Are we liking Oral Roberts at least plus 16 then? I don't think we're going to take the plus 950 money line, but you got to take the 16 points, right?
Oh, I think it's too many. I can see the game coming down like Ohio State's comfortably in the lead, maybe with like foul shots like 6 to 7, 8-point range, but I don't think the numbers should be crazy here. I think 16 should get to the window, in my opinion. 16
is a lot, especially for a team like you said, like, they really maxed out to get that Big Ten championship and fell a tiny bit short against a very good Illinois team. All right, second game to tip off on Friday, Colgate, Arkansas. This is a popular one in terms of points, in terms of pace. I don't see and all these, maybe you can explain this to me better. I'm an eye test guy over a numbers guy, but I obviously, you need to know the numbers as well. Colgate in these analytics, like where they are ranked, I get it. There's something to it, but they can't possibly be that good that they are actually going to be able to hang defensively on the court in some of these games, I feel. So in my mind, I don't know if I'm necessarily laying the 8.5 with Arkansas, But the two things that I'm doing here, like if you're building a 2-team or 3-team money line parlay on just day one or to cover the first 2 days in general, I think Arkansas is one of those safe pieces to put in it. I don't see them losing to Colgate. Secondly, I'm confident that Arkansas just offensively is going to run through Colgate. So the play that I'm writing up in my Friday article is going to be Arkansas first half team total over 40.5. I think they can easily hang 50 in the first half here. Maybe it slows down a little, and the team total is 85.5 for the game. So it seems like a little bit of value maybe on the first half, keeping their foot on the pedal. Those are the two things that jump out to me here. Please explain to me why some people think Colgate is so good.
It's hard. I mean, they played, I think, a combined like 5 teams this year. The build up to what the record is and all that stuff.
It's easy to get good analytics when you just play the 5 same bad teams over and over.
Right, and you're coming out of the Patriot League where a lot of teams would have won the Patriot League this year. It was nothing like a crazy hard league to get through. So it's hard to tell where this Colgate team is. I mean, they got some good players. Jordan Burns is pretty good, but like you said, I think they're going to bring the pace and tempo. I don't think they're going to change just because they're playing Arkansas, and their defense is very vulnerable. So I agree with you. I think Arkansas can put up a lot of points. It's a safe money line parlay play. Even if Colgate shoots 50, 60%, I still don't think they can stop Arkansas. I still think Arkansas finds a way to a W here.
Yeah, I just don't see it with Colgate, and I think we're getting a little bit short of a number that I don't necessarily feel like laying, but it makes the money line a good enough piece to use, I think. Right. On to the 115 game, we got Drexel and Illinois. Let me ask it more as an overarching question. Like, I generally don't bet 16-1 games. Maybe sometimes if I like the matchup a lot, like a first half line or something. I just never see any of the values. And going back, I think the last 40 16-1s are 20, 19, and 1 against the spread. So it's just, there's never any value here. So two-part question, I guess. Number one, what's your take on 16-1s overall? Is there anything you like in them? Anything you like in this specific one? Number two, this is where we should just talk about Illinois for the tournament. Like, what's your outlook on them? Is there any value on them at plus 120 to win the region, reach the Final Four? I like them a lot in this region. I have a plus 2,500 ticket to win it all that I'm riding. I hope we see him in that championship game in that Final Four, and we'll figure it out from there.
No, so I don't really have much of an opinion on Illinois versus Drexel here. The only one game where I'm really interested in the 1 seed is Gonzaga. Hopefully playing App State, but either if it's App State or the other team, I think it's gonna be blowing. Gonzaga's been blowing out these type of teams all year, so I think they're gonna be accustomed to it. I think they're gonna make some noise and start the tournament. So I'm interested and intrigued to see what that line comes out as. So I'm looking to make a move on that one. And then for Illinois, I think their ceiling's high, man. In my brackets, I personally have them going all the way to the final, and hopefully it's from Gonzaga. So I have a future on Gonzaga already from preseason plus 1,000. And I don't know. I mean, you look at Illinois' path, and they should be able to get past Loyola or Georgia Tech, then probably likely meet up with Oklahoma State there. And I think that's going to be a great game with them and Cade and everyone. But I think they get through that. So I like their chances here. I like their region a lot. The Midwest is not too strong. There's a lot of teams that can get upset there. So
I think Oklahoma State's going to be their toughest game in the path to get there. I know they're kind of like a trendy hot team because they have the number 1 pick. They upset Baylor, like everybody's kind of talking about them. But they're a good team. They're much more than Cade Cunningham, and they'll give Illinois a good game. But the bottom there, like I mean, we're going to get to those games, but I just don't think whoever comes out of the bottom half of that bracket is that tough of an Elite Eight game for Illinois.
It could be sneaky good. That could be a sneaky good game, actually. But I obviously lean towards Illinois there. And I'm really hoping they get that rematch with Baylor because I think that game can go way different than it did earlier this season.
Yep, totally agree. So let's go to, this is an interesting game. Utah State and Texas Tech. I think this opened 5. It sits 4. It's taken some big bets on Utah State. Utah State's a very capable team. They've got their experience against solid competition in San Diego State, a team that they beat twice during the regular season. Texas Tech has Mac McClung, but they have a lot of holes after that. But they are also a conference that you don't want to underestimate in this tournament is the Big 12. Like if anybody's tested, it's the Big 12 because you play a real game every night. I don't think I can bring myself to bet this game. I like Texas Tech to win it, and I don't have much else on it really.
I came close, very close to betting on Texas Tech officially. I did ultimately pass just because they have not been great. Like, I think they're like 3-7 their last 10 against the spread.
Yeah.
They've beaten really good teams in that run at home, none on the road. I do believe Mac McClung is going to have a signature game. It's Chris Beard. He's known for March, making these teams go on great runs. Utah State-wise, I mean, their big guy, Keita down low, he's got good vision, can kind of shoot outside, but he's kind of soft. So I kind of think Santos Silva, if he says out of foul trouble, can kind of contain him and limit him. So ultimately, I lean Texas Tech here, but just not enough to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, it's not a betting game, but I think Texas Tech is a popular team to put through in brackets. All right. Here's another ridiculous 116, Baylor and Hartford. Congrats to Hartford. Feel good story. You're in the tournament for the first time. Here's Baylor. This is the one outside of, we don't know Gonzaga's matchup yet, but this is one where I would consider a first half play at like 14.5, 15. I think Baylor comes out and just throttles a team that is happy to be there. You could go with the first half team total instead if you're just more confident in the points and maybe they don't show up as much defensively. I don't really know what else goes into the thought process in terms of Baylor not just absolutely dominating this game, but I'll just say if you're going to bet on it, I like betting on whatever you like in the first half over the full game.
No, I totally agree. Just get the starters in, do the damage in the first half, and then probably try to rest them, the last 10 minutes of the second half. Hartford is, from what I've seen from them, they're not really impressive. I actually faded them earlier with the line, just similar like this when they played Villanova. It's like minus 23, and Nova came in comfortably. And I think a few months later, Baylor's better, Hartford's better, but I don't think it matters. I think this is a Baylor play all the way. I think it's going to be a rout from the jump, so 100% on board with you on that first half and a full game.
All right. So while we're here, we might as well touch on Baylor long-term in the tournament. I have them. I hope we get that Baylor Illinois game. Like you said, that could be like the game of the tournament. I think it's very tough to call. I'll be rooting for Illinois given my Illinois plus 2,500 ticket. I've bet Baylor to the Elite Eight, Baylor to the Final Four, and have tickets on that. I'm pretty comfortable with them in that bracket. Like Ohio State, I don't think they can get them. We're talking about Oral Roberts potentially. Arkansas just can score, but I don't think they can get them. Texas Tech, are they going to get there? Like UNC, I like UNC a lot. If they didn't get the Baylor draw here, I think they're a team I could see making a run in the tournament, but not anymore. I think UNC is, Purdue or Nova could get there. I think UNC might be their toughest game until they get to Illinois.
Right. Now I think it's a weak region for them, honestly. I know it's chalk, but I don't see them struggling. I think they can go on a great against the spread run as well here and just blow teams out. And I'm not so sure if UNC or Wisconsin will be their hardest game. Like, I understand for both angles, they can both bang down low with them and stuff, but guard-wise, when you got the three-headed snake for Baylor, I've been saying it all year, those guys are just so good. They can take over games. They can win you games. I think this is a Baylor team that gets Scott Drew over the hump, and they make a nice run here.
Yeah, it's one of those years, like, you don't want to go too much chalk, but, like,
right.
You just don't see where they trip up there winning that region. Here is an interesting spot. I really wish I got this one early. I didn't, so now you just leave it alone. I had Georgia Tech in my bracket. I've switched that to Loyola Chicago because that's what happens when the ACC Player of the Year is ruled out, and this one goes all the way up, balloons to 5.5 points. I don't know what you do with it now. I think Loyola Chicago wins, but I'll give it to Georgia Tech that they're a very scrappy team. I like them a lot. I wrote up and played them plus 1,000 in the ACC. We got extremely fortunate that they just had to beat a 13 Miami, then get a bye, and then you're there ready to hedge in that FSU game. I like the team. I just don't know how you can back them here.
Right. Without Moses Wright in there, man, it's going to be very tough for him. I kind of leaned Loyola to begin with. Just 'cause I saw like Alvarado at the press conference, how emotional they were. I was a little worried about a hangover, stuff like that. And now the line's ballooned up to 6. It's almost making me think make a play on Georgia Tech here. That's just too many. They're not going to go down fighting. Loyola's offense isn't great, so are they capable of winning by that much? So it's kind of flipped my whole opinion on it now. I kind of lean Georgia Tech getting 6. I just think it's too many, even without Wright.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. If this one goes 6.5, like
Right. I think it's a play at that number. I really do.
Pretty tough not to back Georgia Tech there. Okay, here is the first thing that I bet when the bracket came out. The Oregon State Tennessee game. I do not like Tennessee. I very much like Oregon State. I have this 12-5 in my bracket. I have a sprinkle on the money line. The biggest thing that I've bet so far is Oregon State 8.5. This moved all the way to 7, I believe, on DraftKings Sportsbook. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it is back at 8.5, and you can get that original line. This is my favorite spot. I'm going to be rooting for Oregon State to win this game. They are 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 games. They have won, I think it is 7 of their last 9 games. 6 of those 7 wins have been as underdogs. The other was as a 1-point favorite, so a near pick 'em. Their 3 wins in the Pac-12 tournament to win the Pac-12 were by a combined 22.5 points as underdogs, if you just added all those points together. And here they are. This isn't like a Georgetown team that we didn't even know what they were coming into the Big East tournament. They just put together that run. This is a team that the whole second half of the season has been tremendous against the spread and playing a lot better basketball. Tennessee passes all the numbers tests. They don't pass the eye test, in my opinion. They don't have scores. I think they can really get stuck in the mud. If you want to play devil's advocate at all, try to make the case, but I'm all over Oregon State here.
So I think the line may have moved because I think Fulkerson might be gearing up to play for Tennessee.
Okay.
But I just think that gets better for Oregon State backers, honestly. I do think Oregon State spread-wise is a great play. I love that play. I have a future on Tennessee from earlier in the year, and I'm not hedging it here. I think they get past them. I like Pons a lot and Springer and company and Rick Barnes. Oregon State's been great, though. And Tennessee's offense has not been great. So I think that 8.5, man, I think that's a great number on Oregon State, and I would take that as well. But ultimately, I do think Tennessee can get past them. But I think it's a 1-possession game at the end, maybe 2. 8.5 just way too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it wouldn't shock me if Tennessee won. They're favored by 8.5, but just getting something on that plus 340 money line, like
it's value for sure.
Even if you don't believe in them winning, like by the time we get to the second half of this game, you can probably hedge on Tennessee in like minus 200 or whatever on a live line, minus 150. Like, I just don't see how Tennessee comes out and just blows this game open and is threatening to win by like double digits. I just don't see how it gets there.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, so on to Liberty and Oklahoma State. Liberty's taking some money. They're becoming a shorter and shorter favorite, and Liberty's a respectable squad. Like, I have nothing bad to say about them. I just don't know how they're going to handle Oklahoma State. So I'm concerned about laying the points. I don't want to do that. But if we're starting to like build a money line parlay, we have Arkansas as a first piece. I'm very comfortable with Oklahoma State as a second piece. I don't see them getting upset here, but potentially, a good team in Liberty hanging around a little bit.
It's as easy as if Liberty's making shots, they're staying in the game. I watched them earlier in the year. They're making shots, and they beat some good opponents, and they lose to TCU by 4. I think Oklahoma State covers here. I think they comfortably win this game. The emergence of Avery Anderson for them has been huge with Cade and Michael. They're a good team. They're a great team. I don't see them getting tripped up here at all, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a 10-plus game for them.
That's what I love about Oklahoma State. Everybody, the casual fan knows Cade Cunningham, but they have bodies well beyond him. And if they did not have Illinois right in their path, if they were on the bottom half of this bracket, I would have them in the Elite Eight for sure.
I totally agree with you there.
So tough draw, I guess, but there's 3, maybe 4 very good teams in this tournament, and teams are just going to run into them. So
My thing with them was they got the 4 seed, West Virginia the 3 seed. They beat them
Yeah.
back to back, and then they beat Baylor in the tournament.
What
So that
exactly?
that that right there, just I respect the
I
commitment,
was
but that was a crazy one.
I was very surprised that they were a 4. And you could easily swap West Virginia and Oklahoma State. Nobody would have batted an eye, and I would have Oklahoma State in the Elite Eight because I think the bottom half there can be a little bit dicey. Um, okay, Wisconsin and North Carolina. This is something I've bet. I bet UNC -1.5. I like North Carolina a lot in this spot. I think Wisconsin is somewhat overrated. I did a futures article. We had like a selection Sunday tab on DraftKings Sportsbook where you can bet on teams seeding basically. Wisconsin was set at 6.5, which I thought was ridiculous. So we went over there, not even close. They get a 9. UNC is a team that I would like if they were a 7 or a 10 somewhere else. I would have them potentially making a run. They're going to see Baylor here if they win. Obviously, Wisconsin's not a layup here by any means, but I just like the matchup for UNC. I think they have the higher ceiling and the potential to roll in this matchup. Wisconsin's been nothing special lately.
No, I love it. What if you look at Wisconsin's schedule? They beat the bad teams they're supposed to beat. They haven't beat none of the good teams they're supposed to beat. They're not supposed to beat. They haven't won a good game. What worries me here just a little bit is North Carolina doesn't start out strong usually. They're more of a second half team. They have a lot of like younger guys playing, for guards in the backcourt versus Wisconsin's got a much veteran group. So I think that we could get a great live play at halftime on UNC here. So I'm waiting on that line, but yeah, I think UNC wins this game. And the fact that Roy is 29-0 in round ones is
Crazy.
Just, I don't care if you're a 1 seed all the time. That's a staggering number right there. So, that's a good trend to follow in my opinion. Hopefully he gets a 30-0 here.
Yeah, obviously not many near pick'ems in the first round for Roy Williams, but he wins them all. So that's not a bad thing. Yeah. All right. So if you want to split the difference there, I'm on UNC to start the game. Maybe you go smaller on that and wait and see if you can get them at plus money at halftime. I don't think UNC is going to blow out in the first half, so I don't think you're gonna miss anything too bad there anyway. Cleveland State and Houston. Houston is, in my opinion, the weakest 2 seed, but they are the largest favored 2 seed of the group. I don't have much of a take on this game. I think Houston could go down early in the bracket. This is one of the reasons I wish Oklahoma State was on the bottom because they would have a more dominant path, I guess. But I know you got something on this game. I don't. Where are you going here?
So we're reverse thinking here because you like them going down early. I think Houston can make a run, and I think that they have potential of a Final Four berth.
Okay.
Cleveland State is not big. I don't think their offense is great. I really don't like the makeover of the roster other than go Million and Patton for them. And Houston can go, man. You look at their games, it's either like it's as easy as Memphis last week. They barely won as a close game, and the championship was against Cincinnati, and they blew them out. I think Houston can win by 30 here. I really do. They're very efficient at the rim. They can score at all levels. They have players. They have the coach here. I don't think they're going to be hung over from winning the American. I think this is a rout here. I think they cover the trifecta team total first half full game. I'm on the full game -20, which what it currently is a DK right now. So I like that one. I'd lock that one in right now.
All right. So I'm not concerned about Cleveland State necessarily, but when we start getting to these real games for Houston, here's what I want to know. Because when they play decent teams in their conference, they seem to turn them into battles, like those last 2 with Memphis, one of which, that regular season one, which they were extremely fortunate to win with a ridiculous heave at the buzzer. Talk me into why Houston is going to win some of these grinded out games with whatever against a Rutgers, a Clemson, a West Virginia, a San Diego State, a Syracuse, whoever.
Well, one, I love the Houston team, but then 2 is a fade on all the other teams. Clemson Rutgers, I think, is the worst matchup in the bracket.
I agree.
Rutgers, hate Clemson, so it's a fade on them. And then honestly, I think WVU is prone to get upset to Morehead State. I think San Diego State is prone to get upset to Syracuse. So you're gonna have some muck up battles there. And Houston should just unscathed by just rather easily, have fresh legs. to where they get, either probably Syracuse or West Virginia, I'd say, maybe St. Louis State or Morehead. I just love their path there. I really do. And I think they meet up with Illinois there or Oklahoma State or someone, but I just really like Houston's path right there. I think it's pretty easy.
So this is more on the path side than the Houston side. You like Houston, but if you had to say, well, this is why I like them to go so far, it's the path.
Absolutely. Because I like Alabama slightly more than Houston, but I think Alabama has, a great 7-10 game there. If UConn,
and then
versus like Rutgers, Clemson, not good. I just think it's a much easier path for Houston right here.
Yep. Okay. That totally makes sense. And that's something that people don't, people fall in love with teams, and, the team has to play well, but the path is a huge part of this. So that's something, sometimes you got to just take a team that you don't necessarily love because the path is there for them. North Texas, Purdue. I'm very tempted by North Texas. If I bet this game, it'll be North Texas plus 7.5. Purdue's good. Purdue's scrappy. Purdue's got size. One of the things I like about North Texas is that at least to get here, they had to beat, a Western Kentucky team that's very capable of being in the tournament, who have a big guy in Bassey that they had to, somewhat contain to get here. I don't love this game. I don't love Purdue, but I could easily see Purdue being in the Sweet 16 against Baylor. This is just one of those path things like we're just talking about. Do you have anything on this game? Any future thoughts on Purdue or anything?
Not a lot on the game. North Texas plays stifling defense. They've actually they kept in check Bassey. They kept in check when they played earlier this year. WU, they kept in check Culver. So they played bigs pretty well here. I just don't think their offense is good enough. I don't think their defense is good enough to stop Purdue. I don't have Purdue making it far, honestly. I think they get beat to Nova in the round of 32 here. So I think it's a short, sweet exit for Purdue here.
So you have Villanova making the Sweet 16 against Baylor?
Yeah, so one of my favorite plays of the weekend is actually Villanova versus Winthrop, which is the opposite of the public. I know the public loves Winthrop. 22-1 or 23-1, whatever the record is. Only one loss, though. I think it's fraudulent, man. The best team they played all year was UNCG or Furman, who, doesn't really do anything for me. Nova doesn't have Gillespie, obviously. That's a big story, big narrative. But I honestly don't think Jay Wright – I don't think they care about the Big East, man. Everyone say they got beat to Georgetown. Look how they lost to them. They had won it 3 years in a row. So was it meaningful this year? I don't know. And it's more prep time, without Gillespie this whole weekend. And Jay Wright even said that they had a 3-hour practice. So I think they're ready. I think they beat Winthrop by 10+. I think they beat Purdue. And then ultimately when you're playing Baylor, that's a totally different game when you don't have Gillespie. I think that's where they need him. And that's where I think they lose finally.
Villanova has no chance in my mind against Baylor with the bodies that they're down. But it's interesting that, Villanova to make the Sweet 16 is now a contrarian opinion, and that Villanova to win in the first round as a 5 seed is now a contrarian opinion is one that I think is ridiculous. I have Villanova over. We'll just stick to this game. This is the nightcap on Friday. I have Villanova in that game in my bracket. I wasn't sure if I was going to lay 5.5 or 6. You seem very confident in it. Corby, who was on Monday, seems very confident in it. So maybe I'm going to get talked into just laying the points with Villanova. I was thinking about them as a money line parlay piece. I thought was kind of safe. Everybody, Winthrop is the sexy 12 seed this year. But like you said, you see the one loss and people maybe get taken aback by that. But this is when you pick these teams to win, you want them to be tested.
Yes.
And have played teams. Winthrop has not seen anything like Villanova. They have played a bunch of teams that are like Winthrop, and they just happen to be the best of those lower tier teams. So that's just something huge that I'm always looking at in this tournament. And Winthrop just does not check that box in terms of having any tests, which tells me that Villanova, even with the next 2 guys up on the floor, they will have enough to get by this game.
Yeah, Winthrop only has, in my opinion, 2 good players, Vaudrin and Burns down low, but they haven't played anyone close to Villanova this year. I just think it's a step up in class, and I can see 10+ Villanova pretty confidently.
All right, I'm with you there. My least favorite team in the country, when they are clearly on the wrong side of the bubble, they always wind up on the right side of the bubble. That would be the Syracuse Orange. Here they are yet again. San Diego State. I almost just like no analysis because every time they wind up here when they're not supposed to be here, they go to like the Elite Eight or something. So I was like, all right, let's put Syracuse on a run. But then you look into the matchup, like San Diego State is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. How do you beat a zone? You make threes over it, and San Diego State can do that. They have some better players. Buddy is on a tear from downtown. If a team can finally limit him from doing that, that's going to give that's how you're going to beat Syracuse, because he's just been knocking everything down. You need to get a hand up, get a body there, and not let him hit those threes, and life's going to become much easier. So I almost just out of spite went Syracuse, and then I looked into it and I'm using my brain, and I'm liking San Diego State more and more. Where are you at here?
San Diego State, they can shoot the ball, man. They're like top 30 in the nation from three, I think, a percent.
Yep.
That's how you beat a zone. You shoot them out of a zone. Obviously, they're not going to go out of it, but you shoot them out of it, and they go off some rebounds. But like you said, the narrative and everything, man, when Syracuse is not supposed to get in, boom, they make a run. And I'm following the script again, not even for that. I think they can beat San Diego State. The WVU, I kind of think WVU is the 14 over the 3 here. So, Syracuse gets Morehead State, and I think they beat them as well. It's a pretty favorable matchup. So I got them going to the Sweet 16 again. So,
all right, this is what happens.
The last, crazy how it happens.
Yeah, the last Friday game we need to talk about, and it is an interesting one because I've now heard this a couple times too. Morehead State, West Virginia. I have no bet on this game, but I think the more interesting storyline is that some people do like Morehead State. They're a scrappy team. This is not a classic press Virginia team. This is a totally different paced West Virginia team. It's one of those weird spots because like I could see West Virginia slipping up here, and I could see West Virginia in the Elite Eight against Illinois. So this is more of a key spot in the bracket. How do you have them getting upset? Do you have them in the Elite Eight? Like, how do you do this? Sounds like you're going Morehead State plus 13 here.
I definitely lean Morehead State plus 13 here, and I'm a West Virginia fan. I love their roster this year. They've been stuck on Huggins 899th win, and I don't think that 900 win is going to come till next year. I really don't. When you need West Virginia the most, they let you down. I don't know. I think Morehead State's really good. They came out of the Ohio Valley Conference, which is a really good conference. They beat EKU and Belmont, who are really good teams. I think they're ready to go here. I think they cover this number, and then the money line, I think, was in in the 600, 700 range.
Let's see. Plus 700.
Right, plus 700. I mean, that's giant. I mean, throw a few bucks on it, I think it gets to the window. But this should be a great, fantastic game. Like you said, if West Virginia gets over this hump, they can make a run probably. So it's a very tricky bracket game right here. So.
All right, that's I still don't know what I'm going to do there, but
so tough. That's the toughest little spot, who can early exit and who can go far. I think it's West Virginia, man.
So on Monday I was talking about a West Virginia plus 350 Elite 8 ticket, which I think is almost like you could almost hedge a West Virginia plus 350 Elite 8 ticket with enough to maybe get your money back just on Morehead State money line. But that leaves a lot of in between ground to get slipped up. Maybe you can do something there. I don't know. I have no idea. This is a part of the bracket that I am not confident in.
Yeah, that's the toughest one right there.
All right, we have made it to Saturday. The first game to tip on Saturday, Georgetown, Colorado. Everybody loves this 12 over 5. This one got down to 4.5. Now it's back up to 6.5. I'll take Georgetown plus 6.5. I think I haven't bet it yet, but that's something that I would be interested in. Georgetown was so inconsistent all year. I don't know. I know where that Oregon State tournament run came from. I don't know where that Georgetown tournament run came from, but they were very convincing in the process. Down year. I know I've backed Oregon State already, and I like Oregon a lot as well, but it kind of a down year in the Pac-12. We did talk down on UCLA. Colorado just has slipped up. They have some bad losses. They've shown the ability to slip up, and Georgetown is kind of thriving right now. Let's hope they can maybe keep some of that momentum this week. But I don't mind the upset here. I have the upset at least in my bracket. So at 6.5, I can be talked into Georgetown.
Right. I would love to see this upset here. I love Ewing. I love the team, Harrison, Blair. They're great. Will Hobb down low. They're good. My worry is I watched Ewing in some of the press conferences after, man, and he is on the ultimate high right now. So with players. One thing that's going against Colorado is they match up great with Georgetown. Is it's a 12 Eastern time tip, so it's like 9 a.m. in Colorado.
True.
That kind of worries me for a slow start. You don't want Georgetown to get off hot because they can keep that momentum running. So tough game to bet, but I would lean the Hoyas with you right there with the spread. And I'm cheering for them to win the game because I love this Georgetown. So
there we go.
I like to see them make a run here.
A team that I can't seem to figure out is Florida State. They look the part. They have the bodies. They have a coach that makes tournament runs, but they lose some inexplicable games. I would love to go against them, but I don't believe much in UNC Greensboro. So this is like a path thing. If there was another 13 here, I would feel more comfortable. I think FSU wins. I have no bet on the game.
I'm a big UNC guy. I love Wes Miller, the point guard Isaiah Miller in the SoCon. He's a monster. He'll D you up the whole game. He's gritty. He's nasty. But down low, athletically, physically, man, Florida State has so much depth.
Yep.
Just, easy as that. They should score at the rim whenever they want. So, yeah, I think Florida State advances pretty easily here.
Yeah, that's a stay away game for betting for me. A game that I do have some interest in betting in the kind of COVID bracket, the West, the top left where the Zags are. Eastern Washington and Kansas. I think Eastern Washington getting those double digits, getting 10.5 here against Kansas, who is going to be down at least one body, perhaps more. That being Jalen Wilson, who's a key contributor there. I think Kansas does probably find a way to win this game, but I think it's going to be a game. So if you're giving me 10.5, I will take a very good Eastern Washington team here with the points.
Yeah, I've been saying all year I think Kansas is an overrated. I just don't think this team's that good. And then you take away Jalen Wilson now, and I agree with you. I think Eastern Washington gets in the cover there. So, but yeah, Kansas should win ultimately. But I don't know, that game could be another 14-3 right there. So
that would see. I can see it. Eastern Washington is very good. So we'll see where that one goes. This one, I can't figure out the side. I've talked to people that are on both sides. I know you are on a side in this one. St. Bonaventure and LSU. Bonnies win the A-10 convincingly. I bet on them in all three games. They were extremely clutch. They looked fantastic. LSU goes right down to the wire in the SEC championship game with Alabama, has a chance to win it. They can really score. They have some athletes. They have some bodies. I'm, as of this morning, Thursday morning, leaning towards LSU, and you are going to now try and convince me why I should go the other way.
I am on the Bonnies. I love the Bonnies. Just everything they're about. Great coach, great team. They have every piece you need to win. The one thing that scares me is Cam Thomas. In my opinion, is top 10 draft pick. He is great for LSU. But my thing with LSU is I don't really like Will Wade as a coach too much. They're really nonchalant a lot of the times. They take bad, horrible shots, and St. Bonnie's, man, they'll do you up the whole game. Yep. They don't turn the ball over. The key thing, and I can't stress enough for St. Bonaventure, so they only go about 6 deep. Don't get in foul trouble. You get in foul trouble, you get Oceani down out, and that's their only rim protector rebounder. And I saw against VCU, as soon as he came out, luckily we were up 18. VCU, boom, instantly cut it, shredded like 10-9. So stay out of foul trouble. You get in foul trouble, it's a wide play LSU for me. But they stay out of foul trouble, it's Bonnies all the way. So, and I think the Bonnies can make a run here. I think either Bonnies or LSU, whoever wins this game, I think that they can beat Michigan. So, if
assuming Livers is gone with that foot,
changes everything.
Which could be a broken foot. That easily makes Michigan the most vulnerable of those 1 seeds. I want the Bonnies. I'm an A-10 guy. I'm a roadie Ram. I pay attention to this conference. I always bet on an A-10 team like money line in the tournament every year, and they lose by like 40. And when it opened up, I was like, it's going to be the Bonnies. Then I talked myself into LSU. This game, we'll see where I
It's going to be a great game. It's one of my favorite round one matchups. So.
It's a good game. I'll know where I land on this game on Saturday at 1:45.
Yep.
Creighton and UC Santa Barbara. This is an interesting one. It's a popular 12-5. Again, Creighton is super talented. I can see them making like a Sweet 16 run and running into the Zags up there. Or I can see USC Santa Barbara keeping this one close. And if it stays close at the end, this is exactly how Creighton loses it, because Creighton cannot make a free throw for their lives. They can knock down contested threes, but they cannot make a free throw for their lives. 300 and whatever, if I don't need to look at it. In free throws, UC Santa Barbara is they make their free throws. They're a very good free throw shooting team. I don't know what I'm doing here. I feel like Creighton is going to survive it based on talent. I will never lay points on them in this tournament, considering the free throw woes, because they can just give back, 4 missed free throws right away, and then you're not going to cover. But I think they win. Where are you going here?
High ceiling for Creighton, low floor for Creighton. What are you going to get from them? UCSB put together a strong resume, 22-4. I like their team. I like how they can play down low, and I don't think Bishop in the backup for Creighton is all that great down low. I think it's all up to Zagorowski, man. If he's hot and he's going, the whole team's going to be going with him. If he's cold and he's not clicking, I think the Gauchos can win this game. So I actually have UCSB going in on my bracket. I do have them covering the number here, but I think it's a great game.
This sounds potentially like one, because you can kind of see it with Creighton. This sounds like a game that I might be interested in getting in live. Like if it doesn't go well out of the gates, maybe you just grab UCSB with some points. If Creighton looks good, maybe you try and get to a shorter number before it balloons up. This is one that I need to watch before investing in at all.
Absolutely.
An interesting one here, Alabama and Iona. I love Alabama. I've been betting them a lot this season. I cashed a plus 465 on them to win the SEC, getting them somewhat early, even though there were even more ridiculous numbers early on. But they're a little banged up. They have a couple of key guys banged up, and Iona went on a great run through their conference tournament. They have a coach that can coach in the tournament in Rick Pitino, who I did see was only 4-6 against the spread in the first round, but he's also, he's been the 17-point favorite plenty of times in the first round. This is a completely different scenario. If you made me bet it, I'm taking Iona with the points. I'm probably not going to wind up betting it, but I've heard a lot of opinions here.
It's tough, man. You think 17 is a lot here, and I like what Iona brings with obviously Pitino and they have good guards and Ross and Gist, but that 17 with how Alabama plays and the tempo and the pace, how many shots they put up, how many possessions there are, in my opinion, it's really like 13, 14 in that type of range, how they play. I don't know. I've been saying all year I think Alabama is a bust team come tournament time. I think they get past Iona. I do think Iona sneaks in that number, but I can see this one being real coin flipping down the stretch.
Yep, totally agree there. Going from a larger favored 2 seed to the shortest favored 2 seed, Grand Canyon and Iowa. Props to Grand Canyon. The Antelopes, they're a team. They were fun to watch at some points this season, but the way that Iowa scores and how is Grand Canyon going to keep up scoring? I'm probably not going to bet this game, but if I did, I would lay the 14.5 with Iowa, because I think they can just score enough points that Grand Canyon's not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I don't think Grand Canyon, they should have any answer for guards. This is signature 25-30, 10-15 type game here. I don't see Grand Canyon sticking around in this one. I think it's an early exit for them.
We're on the same page there. UConn and Maryland. This sits at 3. One of the games I did bet is UConn -2 when this line opened. If you want to lay the 3, I think I'm good there. That's probably as high as I would go. I think they match up well against Maryland. I think they have the bodies down low. Cole being in is huge. Bouknight's going to be the best player on the floor. I have UConn past Alabama in my bracket. I feel like you're going to say the same, given where we just were on Bama. Yeah, I think UConn can make a run, and I would have them really capable of making a run if I wasn't so high on Texas there.
No, I totally agree with you. My one thing with UConn is how bad do they want it? It seems like every big game, like I had a big bet on Creighton in the Big East semis, and they played. I will admit they played better than Creighton. They were in control. They were up early by 11. They surrendered that lead. They were up 5 with like a minute 30 left. Surrendered that lead, lost by 3. I worry about them closing games, and that's I love UConn -3. I think Maryland's the most Jekyll and Hyde team ever. I don't think they're any good. I don't like Turgeon. I think UConn wins this game. I think it's gonna be an uncomfortable finish. I I don't know if Book Knight has that true takeover in him. And if he does, then this UConn team is very dangerous. And I hope to see that from them because they are a really good team with Cole and Sonago down low and everyone. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think UConn covers. I think they beat Maryland in a close one. And I think they get past Alabama. And hopefully they're a big enough underdog where I can bet them there. So.
Yeah, man, we talked about that Creighton game. I left my UConn plus 210 Big East ticket unhedged.
Yep.
Got some clean looks. Can't complain about that.
Because we were DMing before that game because you said you had a future on. I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a great game, and I even admit that was a game UConn should have won. So
I enjoyed the game. I was hoping one of the. I mean, the ending that was ridiculous. I was hoping one of those went down, but that was a great game. That was fun to be on either side of that one. Here's one where everybody is going. It is Ohio and Virginia. Open 10.5. It's down at 7. I think I got this one at 8 on Ohio. Ohio is a good team. They have good players. They have a great point guard. Virginia is down at least one notable name to COVID. We're not going to learn if that number grows until much closer to this game tipping off. They're not getting to Indy until tomorrow. They're getting immediately tested. Who knows what their situation is going to be? They might be stepping in this gym for the first time for their game. And then it's Virginia. They are so slow. They are so susceptible to lose a game like this. I put a sprinkle on the money line. Watch Virginia go from first round exit to national champion to first round exit. I really believe in Ohio in this game.
No, this isn't even a Virginia fade for me. I think Ohio is
that high on Ohio.
They're 9-1 spread their last 10. They have one of the best point guards in the nation, Jason Preston. He's a true diamond in the rough. I mean, this guy could kill high major teams anytime he wants, in my opinion. And he always plays better when the big stage. You saw what he did against Illinois earlier this year. And Clark for him is I think it's a big mismatch. I think Preston can bully him. A
lot of size, yeah.
Yeah, he's giving up a ton of size at Preston here. I worry a little bit about them down low versus Huff, but I don't think Huff has true takeover potential here to do it all. And I like Ohio. I got them going through in all my brackets. I got them beating Virginia here. I think that I hit the number as soon as it opened. I love the Bobcats here, man. Love them.
Yeah, it's hard not to be on Ohio in this spot. And I love the just pointing out that matchup with Preston and Clark because it's a very good one. Like when Virginia went on that run, Clark was kind of the perfect piece when they had all those guys. Now they got to rely on him a little bit too much. I don't even remember what game it was where he had to force up a shot at a 3 at the end, and it was just well short. And it's just they're asking too much of him. He's playing too big of a role for them. I think Virginia's going to get bounced here. We're totally on the same page there. Here's a game where you can tell me anything and I'll believe it. Missouri, Oklahoma. I have no freaking clue. I think that I just put stock in the Big 12 being that good this year. I think those teams, the amount of times you get tested, but Oklahoma really limped to the finish line there. I had them money line against Kansas. They almost got all the way back. If they could have just put anything together in the first half, they would have won that game, but they didn't. I lean to Oklahoma here. I have Oklahoma in my bracket. I have no clue what's going to happen in this game, and I'm not betting it.
Yeah, I never really believed in Oklahoma this year, even when they went on a little run where they'd be like Alabama and Tech, a few teams like ranked in a row. I just was like, nah, I still think they're a little fraudulent, and here they are at the AC now. I really liked them in this game when they had Harmon because Reeves will be the best player on the court. I think he can take over if he wants to take over. Mannick's tough, and they have good pieces, but now no Harmon. Missouri's got 6 seniors on the team, so they're very veteranish. It's tough. It's tough. I went from Oklahoma, now I like Missouri, so it's pass for me. But as of right now, I lean Missouri here.
All right, yeah. So I mean, just close your eyes and write a team in your bracket there. So we'll see how that one goes. Abilene Christian and Texas. Abilene Christian is a good team, a team that I would consider using in an upset spot against certain teams, but not against Texas. The only thing that concerns me with Texas is Texas because they've had internal battles along the way. But from a talent standpoint, they are like I don't even want to say a poor man's Baylor, but they have those 3 guards and they have a big in Sims that they're just built for a tournament like this, a team like that. I have them in the Final Four coming out of this region. I've bet on them to make the Sweet 16. That was at 330 on DraftKings when I wrote it up. It's now plus 275 to go Elite 8. Then if it is, a Michigan game and maybe they have Livers back for some reason, like you don't have to worry about that spot. I think Texas, if you want to, we're talking money line parlay pieces. This is a piece that you can include in a money line parlay, I think.
Yeah, I think Texas on DraftKings is minus 112. Yes, to make the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's the best. I've watched Abilene Christian. I've watched their highlights. I watched them against high majors when they got blown out to Arkansas. I don't think they can play. I mean, Texas is athletically at every position, driven guards, Shaka Smart. I mean, I like Texas to get the Sweet 16. That's my favorite future bet right there is Texas to make the Sweet 16 on minus 112.
There you go.
Should have no issues with Abilene Christian. Like you said, it's internal, though. It is mental with them. Hopefully they can start strong and blow out Abilene Christian. I think they carry that. I don't see BYU or either, UCLA or Michigan State troubling them at all either. So, yeah, I love to make Sweet 16 here, and I love that future right there.
Yeah, I like the ability to bet on, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, like as far as you want a team to go. And you just consider it as looking at the odds, and it's a a Sweet 16 bet is a 2-team Texas money line parlay. You're getting, pretty standard juice there. When they get to whoever is in that next round, you're going to be sitting at much better odds at that minus 112 than if you just left an open parlay or something with Texas in the first game, I think. So I'm a big fan on Texas futures going Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, and hedge, or just put a sprinkle there. I think there's a lot of ways that you can bet Texas.
Yeah, you can take it one step further there, like going to Elite 8, like you said. And I mean, they're probably going to be playing UConn or Bama right there.
I would think UConn or Bama. I have UConn in my bracket, but like either way, I like Texas in that game a lot.
So same as mine, Texas versus UConn, and like you said, the future for the Elite 8, that's right there in play as well because they should be able to get past them. So
there we go. Last one on the board that you can bet on as of now until we get these play-in games through. Oregon and VCU. I like Oregon -5. I wish I could stand up for my A10 guys right here, but they just don't have enough to compete with Oregon, who's historically a great March team. We saw the last time we had a tournament. They did have Peyton Pritchard, which helps quite a bit, but made it through, got hot at the end of regular season, dominate ATS run in the Pac-12, made it to the Sweet 16, lost to Virginia, but still covered. Like they covered, I don't even remember, but 10, 15 games to end that year. They play very well in March. I like the Ducks here a lot, and I think the Ducks have a decent chance against Iowa in the second round, assuming they get through.
No, I totally agree with you. I think VCU may have enough to squeeze in the number here. I love Bones Highland, the A10 player of the year. I think he's really good. But like you said, I don't even think Oregon's played their best basketball yet. I think they're built for a run in March. And I have them making a run here. I actually think they beat VCU. I think they can beat Iowa too. They match up great. I have Iowa going to the Sweet 16 right there. Playing Kansas. So that'll be another great game. So they might even make the Elite 8 even. So
all right, there we go. All right, let's look at a couple of these teams we haven't talked about because of the play-in games. Gonzaga. Doesn't matter who wins that first game, who they get. That's a team that you mentioned you might have interest in backing in the first round. You can touch on that again briefly if you want, but really the question here is what type of long-term outlook do you have on the Zags? I think I like you have a plus 1,000 on the Zags from preseason. I have the Zags plus 1,000, Villanova plus 1,400. Injuries kill that one, whatever, and Illinois plus 2,500. I think the Zags' path all the way to the national championship game is one of the easier ones, not easier ones. It's a clear path for them to get there. Very tough to imagine them making an early exit in this tournament. What is the earliest you see them getting tripped up? Where do you have them winding up?
I mean, their region, man, I think is a cakewalk for them. I do think their hardest game might be the 8-9 because I don't think I mean, BYU you could say is a good team, but, you know, I don't think they've played a really strong, solid team in a while. So maybe Missouri, Oklahoma can be like a little bit of a tough game for them. But after that, man, I think they can cruise. I got them in the national championship. I hope they get there. I don't see why they can't get there. Winning it is a different thing, but why they couldn't get there, I don't see why not.
That's what I mean, I think we're all hoping, like, I think the Zags get there for sure, and then hopefully get the winner of an unbelievable Baylor Illinois game, and then that'll be time to really find out if the Zags are for real or not. Okay. So here's the spot. We just talked about BYU a little. I have the winner of the Michigan State UCLA game. I don't really care who it is. I think they're going to beat BYU. I think they're going to advance. I'm going to put that one in there no matter who wins. I hope it's Michigan State, number one, because that means I win a bet on Thursday on Michigan State. And number two, just because I think they have the better chance of beating BYU between those two teams. Any thoughts there?
If it's UCLA, I lean BYU. If it's Michigan State, I lean Michigan State there.
All right, there we go. So it does matter to you who wins that one then. Where are the other playing games? We have Wichita and Drake playing. Oh, USC. This one, you know, Drake's good. They're capable of making a run. It's nice that they have a body back, but that size with USC is going to be a big problem. I have USC through no matter who wins that game.
Yeah, I do as well. I don't think either team can stop the Mobley brothers down low. Just, too much. I think the Trojans advance there.
All right. And then what's the last one that I'm missing? Who haven't we talked about? We haven't talked about Michigan.
Yep. Yes, yeah.
They're, like we said, the most vulnerable of the one seeds. I do think that 8-9 game is going to give Michigan a real test.
Yep.
I don't think they have the most difficult of regions either until you get to like a Texas. So in my bracket, I have Michigan in the Elite Eight. I'm not totally confident that they will be there, but if they do, I really like Texas in that game. No real bets or strong takes though on Michigan. They're just going to miss livers a lot.
They'll miss livers. I think they go down the Bonnies or LSU. I think that game's going to give them fits. I seriously think they're around 32 exit. If they happen to be fortunate enough to make the Sweet 16 and stuff, I think Florida State can knock them off. I think Texas can beat them. I don't see them making it out of this region. I really don't.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be tested there. Yeah. All right, we made it through the bracket. It took some time, took some digging. As I said on Monday, you know, the stuff that I have, the official games that I've bet so far are Oregon State plus 8.5, UNC minus 1.5, and UConn minus 2. There certainly will be ads that I will have on Twitter. I'm sure Nick will have some plays up on Twitter at Turnstone Capper. If you're not following him, you should absolutely give him a follow. If I recall, you're on a ridiculous streak of free plays, I believe.
7-0 free play run right now.
There you go. Can't fade that. Just to recap, do you want to give out the stuff that you have bet that you gave out on here?
Yep. So I'm on App State minus 2.5. I see they sit minus 3.5 on DraftKings currently. I would play that. That'd be the last number I play. My heaviest lean with Julian is Michigan State minus 2.5 on DraftKings. Think that's good to go. I will be on Oral Roberts plus 16 currently on DraftKings. Let's see what else. I have walked in Houston minus 19.5 early in the league, now minus 20. I think that's a 30-point route, so I love that play. On Villanova minus 6, and it's still currently minus 6 on DraftKings, so I think that's another 10-plus game for Villanova. And then I have one early lock for Saturday so far. It's Bonaventure plus 2, and I have some on the money line sprinkled. Love them there. UCSB plus 7, now 6.5. I would still play that. And yeah, that's all for my opening round. And and Ohio I got opening night. Now plus 7. It's tough to play plus 7. Honestly, I just would sprinkle the money line, and I think it's gonna be a great entertaining game. So
I was gonna say, forgot that one. Ohio plus 8 is one that I've bet. Add that one on. I think I would bet them plus 7 and still just sprinkle money line. I'm pretty confident in them in this spot. I think, just judging by our conversation, I think we have the same Final Four: Zags, Texas, Baylor, Illinois.
I think that Florida State gets there instead of Texas. So
Florida State. Oh wow.
Florida State, Baylor, and then Illinois, but watch out for Houston there versus Illinois.
Okay, there we go. All right, now I got to put you on the spot. Who wins it? We feel very strongly the Zags are going to be in that game. Do the Zags have what it takes, or is that hopefully Baylor Illinois winner too much? Zags not tested for that game.
Future right now, Illinois. I think it's like plus 500, plus 600 right now.
It might even be. Let me tell you. Hold on.
Which I still think is great value, honestly.
Plus 600.
Plus 600. In my opinion, that's value. I already have Gonzaga plus 1,000 from preseason. So hopefully they can meet. I just, get boom instant profit. But I do think Illinois has the complete makeup roster, the depth, to hand the Zags the first L of the year. And I think that's where it comes for the Zags and the championship.
Yeah, I mean, that 1-2 punch they have is pretty ridiculous. And then
Ohio and
Kofi, my only concern is if they peak too early by that week of road wins that they got, and then making it through the Big Ten.
They've been on a giant run. That's why I'm really hoping that momentum, just like their confidence, just carries over game by game by game here. Because I am hoping. I will tell you right now, I will have a big bet if both teams are healthy on Illinois when they play in the rematch versus Baylor. I am hoping for that matchup, hoping for like a pickle -1, -2, +1, +2 line there, and I'll be all over Illinois there. So.
All right, there we go. I'm Julian Edlow. You can follow me on Twitter at Julian Edlow. I will have a ton of March Madness content coming out. He is Nick Greely. You can follow him on Twitter at Turnstone Capper. And this is the Unreasonable Odds podcast, and it is the greatest time of the year. Nick, thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you, Julian. Have a great day.